Hello and welcome. I'm Brittany Elliott. I help mothers reconnect with themselves through self care so they can create a loving and fulfilling relationship with themselves. Thank you for being here. This podcast is all about simple, sustainable self care that will help you navigate your motherhood journey and thrive as a woman. We are all at different stages of our motherhood journey while overcoming different challenges along the way. And we are all women with passions, goals, gifts, and talents that didn't stop when our kids came into our lives. Motherhood is easy to get lost in, and it's a big change. Change is growth, and growth can be messy, exhausting, overwhelming, beautiful, and amazing. In each episode, I hope you find a healthy mix of inspiration, motivation, and accountability as you continue navigating your motherhood journey. This is what self-care looks like. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to What Self-Care Looks Like. This is Brittany Elliott, and I help working moms prioritize their needs and practice self-care so they can feel vibrant, empowered, and fulfilled along the motherhood journey. There is no need to not find any joy in the motherhood experience. If we can change our habits from self-sacrifice to self-nurturing, we will all do much better in the realm of motherhood. So, how have y'all been doing with back to school? There's been a lot of change in routines. A lot of us are settling in to new routines, and back to school time brings on the Sunday blues, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So let me get my script rolling. I have to follow my notes sometimes. Sometimes I'm good to just hop on and just, off the dome, let it roll. And then other times I need to be on script. So today that's what I'm going to do. So Sunday blues, it's the overwhelm, anxiety, and the straight up dread that comes with the end of the weekend. So as mothers, we're always thinking about something because there's always something to think about. But Sundays can be the start of the upcoming week's anxiety. And if you're a working mother with school-age children, most likely everyone has somewhere to be on Monday morning. So Sundays can set the tone for the entire week. Mondays will typically feel the full effect of the start of the new week, exhaustion, and the full strength of the overwhelm, and taking on new tasks at work. So, how do we actually fix this though? How can we curb the Sunday blues? So, first, we have to figure out what we're stressed about. What is it about the upcoming week that has us so dreary? Are we back to early mornings? Do the kids give you a hard time about going to school? Is it the after school work routine that's dreadful? Is it your workload? What is the actual stressor on Sundays? What is causing you angst? The next step is schedule / routine / plan in whatever term or order that works out for you. So I'm going to go over all three of those: scheduling, planning, and routines. Routines are important. When we create a routine, it allows us to only have to think about things once, in a sense. It's a process while we're building it, but then there's nothing to think about in its execution. So, do you wake up at the same time every morning? What's the plan for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? What time do you leave for work in the morning? What is your alternate route when there is traffic? Who does drop off and pick up? All of those things. One thing that I have noticed that mothers do is run a really tight ship Monday through Friday, but then you'll get really lax on the weekends. And I have been guilty of this as well in the past. So Friday comes around and we decide the kids can stay up later. We sleep in on Saturday. We stay up later. We sleep in on Sunday. Then it's back to reality on Sunday night. And the routine would actually work best if we do the same things every day instead of giving ourselves a break on the weekends. There aren't any breaks in motherhood. Sure, you may not have to work, your kids may not have school, but you still have things you need to accomplish during the weekend, even if your goal is to rest. And I want to address this point about there not being breaks in motherhood, because there really are not breaks in parenting. And I am really talking about specifically parents who are involved in their children's lives. I don't want to talk about any of the outliers. I'm just talking about parenting, solid parents, involved parents. There really is not a break. There are times where we may be spending time away from our children, but at the end of the day, you're still a parent, even when your kids aren't with you. And I know for me, even if my husband and I are vacationing, I'm still thinking about our daughter, and I'm still calling whoever she's with, and I'm like, okay, what did she eat today? How many snacks has she has? What has her screen time look like? I'm still, involved, even if it is from afar during those times. And so when we are moving through our routine, I have found that taking breaks is way too disruptive, not just to the flow of our household, but to the flow of my mental capacity. So we need to stick to our routines. I always feel better when I wake up early in the morning before my daughter wakes up, even on the weekends, and it gives me time to myself, and I can make breakfast before she wakes up. So when she does wake up, I'm like completely ready to give her my attention and manage whatever her emotions are. So she's 6 now. And so when she wakes up, there's a lot less of, when she was in the toddler age, it was harder to predict sometimes what her mood would be when she woke up. Now she's almost always she's in a good mood. Like even if she's sick, she's in a good mood. So she's ready to go, like ready to be entertained, ready to play, ready to hang out, do whatever, like at first light, as soon as she wakes up. So when I get up and handle things with my self-care and handle things around the house before she wakes up, she's coming into an environment that's already prepared for her to be in. So it eases her into the day better as well. I'm not sure if that makes sense. In my mind, it made sense. But see, that was one of those things, not scripted, just off the dome. But this morning, for example, I had gotten up, I worked out, I had went live on Instagram, did all that, and I had already started making dinner. When she came down, she noticed that um, last night I had like cleaned up the living room, cleaned up the dining room. Everything was all smelling good. It was great. So she immediately was like, "Oh my gosh, it looks nice down here. It's all cleaned up." And then she was like, I'm hungry." And I said, "Oh, I already know. This is what we're going to have." I gave her 2 options for what her proteins would be. And then I just jumped on it until within 15 minutes, everything was done and ready to go. There were times when I didn't do that. And I wake up, I'm already close to hangry, and then she's like, "Oh, I need to eat," and then I'm just frazzled. Not living life so passively in that way and making sure that I'm prepared for the morning ahead has been very, very helpful. Specifically, the part I said about not staying up later on the weekends. So it was Friday night that I did all this, and when I was looking at the time, it was a little bit later for me. It was about 9:30, 9:45 when I went to sleep. I usually go to bed around 8, which I'll talk about a little bit more. But it was late for me, and I thought there was a show, a new series that started. It's not new, but season 2 of Rings of Power started on Prime. If you watch it, let me know. But don't give me no spoilers, because I didn't realize season 2 has started dropping. And I was like, oh yeah, all day I was saying, yeah, I'm going to stay up and I am going to watch the first episode. And I used that time instead to clean. And so could I have pushed it and stayed up? I definitely could have, but I knew that I would have had to pay for it this morning. So we got to make good decisions too. We got to make good decisions. And it's really about living in the balance. And like I said, when we wake up at the same time, or she wakes me up, which, that has not happened in a while. I'm groggy and she's peppy, and I'm having a hard time getting my motor running. It takes me forever to get breakfast together because I'm sluggish, and the experience is just much better overall. So maintain your routine every day, because when you do this, you will start to notice that you will feel the Sunday blues less and less, because a lot of times that overwhelm and angst comes because you're like, oh my God, like it's like, what has to get done, but you feel like you haven't prepared for it. So now you're rushing on your Sunday, and now your Sundays aren't relaxing, aren't calming days, and you're doing all this stuff on Sunday night, and then Monday morning you're even more sluggish because maybe you had to stay up late to do the things on Sunday. So we put ourselves into this cycle of feeling the Sunday blues and then being burnt out Monday morning, and the week hasn't even really started. Now I'm going to stop. Now I'm going to talk about schedule. So sometimes people use schedule and routine interchangeably, but they really aren't the same. I look at routine as the order or the way we do a thing, while a schedule is the time we do it. So the schedule and the routine work together. The schedule will typically indicate the time a routine starts. For example, in our house, it's time to get ready for bed at 8 p.m. So at 8 p.m., we start the bedtime routine. The bedtime routine includes bathing, brushing teeth, getting jammies on, story time, prayers, and the goal is that we have our lights out by 8:45. If the scheduled time changes or we start getting ready for bed later, the routine is still what the routine is. So now on Wednesdays, I believe it is, like in the middle of the week, she has dance class until 8 p.m. So we're getting home and the bedtime routine is starting later, probably closer to 8:30. We still have to do all those things before we can go to bed. So then now midweek we have a later day. So just want to explain the difference between those. Where did I leave off? Oh, it's the same for with the time I have to leave for work. I need to be walking to my car by 6:50 in the morning. That's really the scheduled time that I need to be getting out of here. And my routine for the morning begins at 5 a.m. to allow me time to meet the 6:50 a.m. like deadline, if you want to call it that. So if I wake up late, I either have to work in warp speed, skip parts of the routine, or I'm going to be late. So you need to have a schedule, a time for when things need to get done, even if it's a general schedule. So this happens in the morning, this happens afternoon, night. That's a really great start. If this concept is new, as in you typically wing it, I want you to not feel discouraged. It doesn't have to be so rigid at the start. You are starting, but we have to get there. We have to get you there, because I'm telling you, it is going to help you so much, not just with the Sunday blues, but just with navigating your week overall. So we can work this in baby steps, but these are just ideas that I want you to consider. And as always, meet yourself where you are, start where you are and then build from there. And it's important because you need to have some guidelines to follow, especially on the weekends. As I said, your weekdays are going to be more important because, they come around back to back, and the weekends come back, not as quickly, but it's still very, very important, because we can't have 5 days of solid routines and then wing it on 2 days, then get mad that we're back on schedules and routines. Like schedules and routines, they just need to be the norm. It just needs to be what we're used to. They're not new. I mean, you're you're on one set by you or set by something else. So I'd rather you be in control of what's going on. Now let's talk about planning. Planning, well, plans should include, this is what I'll say, the 5 W's. So why, what, when, where, and who, or by whom. Both the schedule and the routine are within the plan. So I'm going to walk through building a plan as if you've never done one before. So just stick with me. I recommend starting with the what. So just write out a list of all the things that need done, all the whats. Then identify when these things need to be done, the day of the week, exact time of day, and who was involved in it. than the why. Sometimes the why is because it's something that you need to do. Other times it's something you want to do, at least in my household. Like right now, I'm coming up on I need to get my car inspected and I'm going to be needing an oil change. So that's something that's on my list. Like I need to schedule that, but it's not something I need to be taking my car to get done right now. So that's on my list, but maybe not a high priority item because I know that there is still time leading up to it, but I don't want to forget about it because there have been times in the past where I walk past my sticker and I'm like, oh my gosh, I am out of inspection. So if you are someone who isn't big into formalizing your plan, I strongly recommend you do it, which I talked about earlier. And I do all my planning with a planner. I wanted to show, I did want to show y'all. Hang on. I'm going to show you what I'm using right now. So I do all my planning with a planner. And the area that has the entire calendar on it, I put recurring events and bills so I can see them at a month's glance. And I changed up how I do it now. So this, we don't sell these. Factory Impact doesn't sell these. This is a sticker, a branding sticker I put on it. But I switched over to the A5, just that's the size of it. It's a binder that I switched to and just got the, this was August, and I got the inserts for it so that I can basically have more control over how many months are in my planner when I'm looking ahead. And then I put like loose leaf paper for notes and everything in here. It has little envelopes and a folder so I can keep things together. So what started happening was because of, I'm going to go on a little tangent real quick, but with my daughter being in school, her having sports, soccer and dance, with me with work full time and having my business, with my husband having different meetups and things that he does for his business. There's a lot that I'm planning that's beyond a 12-month calendar and even sometimes an 18-month calendar that you can just buy that is ready to go. And I like to have on the calendar blocks lines that I can write on because I'm usually putting a lot of items on there and I write crooked and I need to write smaller when I need to, if that makes sense. So I need to have boundaries to write things in so I can fit everything that I need. So that's why I switched to this. I did this at the start of this school year. So I've just had it since August. I really like it so far. I probably would have gotten a larger size, like whatever the size up is from A5, not thicker, but just bigger. But otherwise it's working really, really well. And I like it. So if you've been not able to yet find a planner that really works for you and you're looking for an alternative, I highly recommend that. You just get the inserts for each year. So basically, I'm always going to have that binder and I'm just going to change the months and years. So I'm loving that right now. So in the daily blocks, I put in one-off items that are happening in a given day, things I would like to do after work, like laundry, which now my laundry day has to change. Y'all, it's busy out here. It's busy out here. Grocery shopping, my post office runs, visiting my mom, all that stuff. I put it on there. And in past episodes, I talked about how I sync everything up. So in my like e-calendars, like my Google Calendar and my work calendar, they overlap. Everything's synced up so I can see a snapshot of everything in my life that's going on at once. Because before I used to try to compartmentalize, like, oh, this is my work calendar and this is what I have to do after work and this is what I'm doing at home. And then I'd be overbooking myself, or I would think that I could travel for work, but I couldn't because something else was going on. And now I have to travel for work, and now I have to get my mom to do something that I needed to do with my daughter. So it's just a lot. So you may not be there yet to where things are overlapping so heavily that you need to merge. You may not be there yet, but in anticipation of that happening, because it surely will happen, I would start to merge all of that stuff. So use the tools and resources available to make things in your life run smoothly. That's the long story long. That's what we need to do. Use tools, use resources, use systems that are going to help support you in the way that you want to feel in life. We don't have to fall victim to the Sunday blues. If they're coming up, that is a sign that just you need to do something a little bit differently. So don't run from them. Don't, just say, oh, it's a Sunday scaries and this is just the point of motherhood that I'm in. That is not true. You can definitely shift, redirect, use these tools and resources so you can still thrive. When you start to feel overwhelmed and frustrated, resentful, those are cues. Our body is feeling something. We need to sit with it. We need to realize what's going on so that we can fix it and start to right the ship toward thriving. That's the whole point. So don't try to keep it all in your head. Help your future self by building your routine, schedule, and plan today. And once you become dialed into this process, you'll begin to embrace Sundays. You'll be grateful that you had a day to prepare for the hustle and bustle of the weekdays. Parenting is not something that we get days off from, as I mentioned. So to maintain management of our emotions, we have to get rid of the Sunday blues by adjusting our expectations and building solid plans, schedules, and routines. One note I want to mention before I let you go is that we all get 24 hours in a day, obviously, but we all use our time differently, and that's completely fine. Bedtime routine at my house, it starts at 8 p.m. That's what works for us. I know people who it starts earlier than 8 o'clock. I know people who their bedtime routine starts later than 8 o'clock. So this isn't about me telling you what time works best for you and your household. You have to plan, schedule, and build routines that are in alignment with your life and your lifestyle. So my routine best aligns with the way that my days fall. So don't get too hung up on that. You just have to use your time productively. And that starts with understanding how you're actually spending your time. So this week, I want you to be more in tune with how you spend your time. So download the time audit that is linked in the show notes. Use it from today through Saturday so you can be clear on how your time is spent and what adjustments you may need to make for better flow in your days. It's a 7-day stretch. So if you happen to not be listening to this on a Sunday, just either wait till a Sunday to start it, or start it today and do it for 7 days. I think I captured all I wanted to tell you today. You're doing great. Just so you know, as a mother, you are doing great. Thank you for listening. Please share. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please give me a review. Hopefully all 5s. If you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say anything. But share this with other mothers who need to hear this. I'm consistently running into people talking about what I do, sending them to my Instagram and them saying like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that you existed. I wish I would have known about you so many years ago. So even though I have helped so many women up to this point, there's still so many women who don't know anything about me. And motherhood is about mothering in community. I truly believe that. So we need to rely on each other and share resources when we have them. I appreciate you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for listening to What Self-Care Looks Like. Again, I am Brittany Elliott, a self-care and mom life management coach. I help working moms change their approach to motherhood so they can feel vibrant, empowered, and fulfilled in their motherhood journey. My group coaching program, Reconnect, is built around the 5 wellness pillars that will help you feel the most whole as you balance your motherhood role with your personal needs. So be sure to check in with yourself using the free wellness quiz at backtoyouin5.com/quiz.